Well, hello, folks. The project today is to diagnose an electrical issue in our Micro Minnie Winnie Winnebago camper. While plugged into 30 amp breaker shore power, the internal breaker inside the camper that runs the air conditioner is a 20 amp breaker, and it seems to trip often. Many times it's been on a hot day, but not always. So first, we're going to turn off the power to the unit. So I've unplugged the camper trailer from the shore power to start with to make sure there's no power going to the camper. Then you need to go one step further and turn off your 12 volt DC because I have 12 volt batteries. So I disconnect that as well. And then go inside the camper and let's remove this breaker. So first I've got to remove the cover. It takes 2 screws. Fairly quick removal there. 2 screws and a cover comes off, much like your 100 amp breaker would be at your house. So from there, I removed the breaker. I've already bought a new one, by the way, at a local electrics store. So this is a square D breaker. It's a home type. Home Depot, Lowe's don't have it, but I went to a specialty electric store here and they have it. So I removed those 2 screws, removed the wires. Note that the 15 amp wire is much smaller and it carries much less current than the 20 amp breaker. The 15 amp is for the fan. The 20 amp that I have in my hand there is for the air conditioner. Okay, so it stands to reason that those 2 circuits would have different size wire, but it is a dual breaker, dual pole breaker made by Square D. It is their home line breaker. Okay, so there I'm just showing the small wire and the larger wire for the different size amp draw. Next, let's install. Insert the wire, tighten the nuts. Make sure they're tight enough that the wires won't come out and they get good connectivity, but not too tight so the next person can't get them out. So that's what we're doing here. And it's always advisable after you get the wires in, you believe they're tight, it's advisable to do a pull test and make sure that the wires are seated properly. You want good connectivity, and like I said, you don't want to strip out the bolts or the nuts or leave them so tight that you can't get them out the next time. So next, insert the breaker much like you would in your normal home breaker box. There's a rail in the back that it sits on in the back bottom corner, and push the breaker in like you normally would and turn it on. So remember, at this point, I still have no power to the unit. I have no battery power or either AC or DC power. I put the cover back on and get ready to energize the system. Fairly straightforward, not something that most of you haven't done many times. So we're hoping this new breaker is going to fix our intermittent problem. Next, I turn back on the battery power to the unit and plug into shore power.
So there you go, it works.
So we're going to try this out this weekend on a camping trip and we'll see how it works. Hopefully I've fixed that intermittent problem. So if you've ever been to the campsite, you understand that plugging into a 30 amp service is not exactly like living in your home, and not always is that 30 amp service run the air conditioner, the microwave, the refrigerator, the hot water heater, and the coffee pot all at the same time. And many of us don't like to stagger that startup of each one of those components. So the company called Micro Air has figured out that the leading cause of the overdraw at the campsite is the air compressor when it starts up. The initial startup from a locked rotor position on an air compressor takes a tremendous amount of current, many times 2, 3, and 4 times the amount it would take to run that air conditioner after it gets started up. So this company has it figured out, and they have developed this Easy Start soft starter. It's a computerized routine that assists that air compressor to start from a locked rotor position to full RPM with limited amp draw. So in addition to this Easy Start soft starter routine, they have a little amp measuring kit that helps you understand how much amperage your camper is drawing. This is important to know so that you know, if you need a 30 amp service or what size generator you need to buy if you're considering buying a generator. So this little kit's kind of handy. It has a clamp ammeter device that helps you measure the amp draw. There's a little pigtail in that kit. It has a green, black, and white wire, and that allows this clamp device to measure the amp draw from your service, whether it be a generator or whether it be shore power. So this little kit comes from microair.net. You can buy it off their website for $69. I'm not affiliated whatsoever with this company, but I've done a lot of research on it. And so let's go try these little devices out. So first, we place the black clamp on the black wire provided so that we can measure the amp draw from shore power to the camper. The normal cycle of the air conditioner is first the fan comes on and then the compressor starts. So here is the fan coming on. It looks like it's 2.5 to 2.6, almost 2.7 amps. So next the compressor itself kicks on, and now you have combined the fan and the compressor is pulling between 15 and 16 amps of the 30 amps available. So what we learned so far is while a camper system is typically rated for 30 amps of service, a typical 13,500 BTU air conditioner and fan take up half or more of that 30 amp service. Then you're left with the rest of the service to run the refrigerator, the microwave, the hair dryer, the coffee pot, the hot water heater, and the lights. So, with the air conditioner compressor being the largest amp draw of anything in the camper, let's start there. Microair has come up with an Easy Start system. It's a soft start routine, a computerized soft start routine that optimizes the spike of the initial amp draw from locked rotor position to full RPM of your air conditioning compressor. Many times the air compressor will require 3, 4, 5 times, maybe more, of current to start up during the first millisecond to get that locked rotor out of position and moving and up to speed. So Microair claims that Easy Start will reduce that initial current requirement from 50 to 75% on the startup of an air compressor motor. So that's significant and will significantly reduce the amount of current draw required at the campsite and hopefully run off of a 30 amp, maybe even a 20 amp service at times, and allow you to purchase a smaller generator, more right-sized for your unit and more efficient with less fuel required to run your generator. So my next step is to go out and buy one of these Easy Start devices and hook it up to my air conditioning system on my camper and let you guys decide how it works for us. So stand by. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, or dissent. You've been watching the Junkyard Tailgate channel. A good day.